day. For our social media question, we ask, do you think there should be stronger penalties for crimes against children? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
All right, good morning, good morning. Today's I quote says, "Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of heaven." This one is from Jesus the Christ, Matthew 19, verse 14.
Yeah, good morning, Jakal.
Good morning, good morning.
And of course, I think that's the King James Version.
I believe so.
Yes, and suffer there actually means allow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, the first watch after this break.
Triple Breeze cleaning power, each foam lasts longer. On Triple Breeze cleaning power, you scrub less often. On Triple Breeze cleaning power.
Find it at a great price in your favorite store or supermarket. Formula with 3 grease cleaning agents versus another dishwashing soap of similar price.
Everybody needs a helping hand, somebody to understand. In the end, we're all human. For people living with HIV, no discrimination. Here to support them through. Respect you as usual. Got to protect them too. Oh, whether your friend or your family, somebody in your community, people living with HIV. Protect, accept, and respect people living with HIV. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
This Thursday, October 9, join Dr. Colleen Beckles and Pastor Napoleon Black on the truly marvelous program To Have and to Hold, as they uncover one of marriage's most silent struggles. Why couples stop having sex? Is it stress, distance, unspoken hurt? Does love fade or simply fall asleep beneath the weight of life? When connection breaks down, how can couples find their way back to closeness, tenderness, and trust? Because intimacy is more than a moment. It's the heartbeat of togetherness. Tune in this Thursday, October 9 at 5:30 p.m. for the truly marvelous program To Have and to Hold. Only on the family station, Love 101. Join us for the 4th annual Accelerate Pastors and Leaders Conference, hosted by Transformed Life Church, a power-packed 3-day conference designed to inspire, equip, and empower you as pastors and church leaders. Thursday, October 9, 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Friday, October 10, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And Saturday, October 11, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Plus, we have a bonus event Friday at 6:30 p.m. for you and all your leaders. That's the Accelerate Pastors and Leaders Conference, October 9 to 11.
Then join us on October 9 at 6:30 p.m. for a live link right here on the family station, Love 101.
Something big is coming this Christmas. 2 cities, 2 dates.
One unforgettable experience.
Mark your calendars. Saturday, December 13th and
Saturday, December 20, 2025. The magic of the season is about to hit Jamaica like never before.
Where will it be? Who will be there? Stay tuned,
because Season Splendor is coming and you don't want to miss it.
Season Splendor. The countdown begins.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, over the past 2 weeks, there have been several reports of disturbing incidents involving children. In some cases, the state has intervened to literally remove children from their homes. And in other cases, children have been severely injured. And of course, the most distressing in recent times was the death of a 4-year-old who was among those slain in Linstead St. Catherine on Sunday. Have we forgotten to care for and look out for our nation's children? And the chief advocates of our nation's two major universities now join us or to add their voices. And I think we do not have one of them as yet. But so far we have Percival Roberts, who is president of the UTech Students Union. Good morning to you, Mr. Roberts.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on today.
Great. Thanks for being with us. As a tertiary student, Percival Roberts, how has the disturbing news, reading number of our nation's children, affected you or impacted you?
It's been very disturbing to know that we're in a society now where almost every day it feels as if you go online, you see something involving the death or disappearance of a child. It definitely takes a toll to be looking at that all the time, and it's very disturbing.
Yes. And when you hear it, how do you process that? Because what has been happening, I think, is that almost every week we hear of another case or other cases. How do you process all of this?
I mean, it's hard to process. As I said earlier, it's very saddening. The children are our future, and I just can't imagine what it must be like, especially for the families of those affected. It's very disheartening to see, and it's something that I think it's full time now we address as a nation, and we look up more for our children and learn to care for our children more.
Yes. And of course, a lot of it has to do with the violence, and you mentioned the children have gone missing. How do you feel it's affecting family life in general in our society?
I think that the families involved must be going through a lot at this time. I can't necessarily imagine the pain that they're going through, but I know it must be very difficult for them to hear news, especially as it relates to their own.
Yes. And of course, we need to look on causes. We need to look on the genesis of these situations. I'm not sure what you are. I do not know what you are studying in particular at UTech, but what are some of the concerns? Well, the causes, would you say, for the seeming uptick, as you see it from your perspective? Any other possible causes that you want to share with us?
A lot of it seems to be crime and violence related. For example, indiscriminate shootings and so on. So I think we need to really tackle those issues more so, especially as it relates to guns and then just regular.
Did you hear your last point, Percival?
Yeah, I was saying it seems to be a lot of crime and violence. So I think we need to tackle as a nation issues relating to that. So looking at the possession of weapons and then just general gang violence as well.
Yes. And a lot of it has to do with conflicts as well, unresolved conflicts, would you say, and the seeming inability of many persons to handle these conflicts. Agreed?
Definitely. I do agree to that.
Yes. Drugs, does that play a role?
I believe so as well. Drugs do cause a lot of unstable behavior within the society, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is a huge factor in what we see happening today with our children, or what that's affecting our children, rather.
What about social media? Can you tell us what you think, how that has been affecting the whole situation, what's going on in that sphere of activity?
I think the media.
Yeah, social media, Percival, Robert. With us?
Yes, I'm with us. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hearing you now. Go ahead. Social media.
Right. So I think the media is highlighting a lot of the issues now, but as it relates exactly to the media being a cause, I can't comment on it at this time.
Right. And you know, the society has been changing, evolving. You know, you say you don't want to say much on the social media aspect, but definitely persons are being impacted in more ways than one with what they watch, what they listen to. You know, it just seems sometimes that the real issues are there at our fingertips, and there are copycats. There are persons want to, you know, do what they have been seeing on the social media, TikTok, and all of that. Is there anything more you want to say in terms of some of the other causes that could be behind this seeming uptick in violent behavior against our children? Percival?
So I think there is, as you just mentioned, there is social media, but there is a lot of influence or negative influence within our society as well that we need to tackle. This don't care attitude that a lot of persons have, and I think that's something we can look at as a nation, do social reform to tackle some of these issues.
Don't care attitude? What's that about?
I mean, you have a lot of persons within the nation who simply just don't care about what they're doing or how or who it affects. That's a very prevalent social issue that we need to tackle within our country.
Yes. And of course, some of this, now we talk about mass shootings, and some of the shootings seem very indiscriminate. And I think the last one perhaps was an innocent child just being there. And you mentioned don't care. Person just come and just shoot at the place like that, eh?
Yeah. So I've seen some stories relating to that. For example, in Commodore Linstead where 9 persons were shot, and including in the death toll, it's a 4-year-old, and that was an indiscriminate shooting as well.
Yeah. All right. We have more to discuss on this. We are up on a break. Percival Roberts, president of UTech Students Union, is with us so far. We'll be right back.
You're making every dollar work harder, choosing carefully, buying what you need, and making it stretch as far as you can. That's why Grace is giving shoppers discounts on over 20 of your favorite Grace products when you cash out at participating supermarkets. It's our way of helping you sweeten moments together, share more meals, and take care of the people you love. Make a good move with 20% savings from Grace.
As a contractor, I never work without a plan.
As an electrician, protection is always a priority.
If you're a small business owner or an independent contractor, there's a plan that gives you protection and coverage. Sagicor Pro Shield. Get up to $1 million critical illness coverage and cover up to 80% of your medical costs for as little as $15,510 every 3 months. Get the protection you need with Sagicor Pro Shield. Call 876-936-7784. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and it's the first watch. We are actually focusing on our nation's children with the concerns that I guess most, if not all of us, have in regards to the news every week of a child either gone missing, or a child that has been murdered, or a child that has been abused in some way or the other. And in so doing, we are looking on youth perspectives. And we have Percival Roberts, who's president of UTEC's Students Union, with us, just to, share his thoughts in that regard. Still with us, Percival Roberts?
Yes, I'm still with it.
Yeah, right. Now, what course are you doing, if you don't mind telling us, at UTEC?
I'm doing computer science at UTEC.
Okay, all right. And what are the vibes that you're picking up at UTEC with these concerns? I mean, with the children especially being killed and gone missing and abused. What vibe you picking up?
So, sorry, you said the question you asked is what vibe am I picking up from UTEC?
Yeah, man, the students. Did they talk about it? Anybody mention it? Any concerns?
Yeah, I do hear fellow students showing their concerns surrounding the matter. As I said earlier, when the segment started, it's very concerning and it's a very disheartening situation that we're seeing now as a nation.
Mm-hmm. Solutions now, Percival Roberts. What do you think should and can be done as a nation to address and arrest this situation?
Immediately, what jumps out at me is social intervention and reform programs. As I mentioned earlier, there is a heavy don't care attitude about what happens and who it affects. So I think that's one thing we can look at as a nation. And also, I don't think we can ever have strict enough laws on weapons and gang violence. So I definitely think we need to have some more rigorous interventions in that regard.
Okay, so you mentioned social intervention programs and stricter laws. Give us an idea of what you have in mind with those social intervention programs. Of course, as you perhaps know, we have had those over the years. What more needs to be done in that regard? Can we drill down on that, please?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of it has to start at the home and in the family. So we have to let persons know that whatever they do, there is a serious consequence to it, especially as it relates to who it affects. So a lot of programs, reform programs can be started, especially targeting communities more prone to crime and violence to really help offset the nature of what we're seeing now.
Mm-hmm. And if you were at the helm of many of these organizations that's involved in that, what would be your priority in these programs? Can you give us an idea? Yes, Percival Roberts, not hearing you right now.
Could you repeat the question again, please?
Yeah, if you were at the helm of these organizations that have been charged with the mandate of addressing these concerns, what do you think would be your priorities? Having some delay issues. Percival Roberts, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think if I was at the helm of these organizations, as I said earlier, the safety of our children is very important. The children are our future. I think we just really need to do a deep dive and do a very strategic analysis of what's really going on, examine all the cases, just see how best we can isolate the different factors, and then create a working plan based on everything that we're seeing. So if we realize that it's social, we go the social route. If we realize that we may need to improve laws and then we lobby to the government for certain things. So it really just need to look at all the different factors at play and then sit down and have a team. We look at everything in a very strategic manner and then execute based on that. Yes.
And you mentioned strategic ways of doing it, and you had mentioned earlier stricter laws. How strict would you want those laws to be? Can you give us an idea?
So the laws have to be very strict and very clear, I think persons know that, or if persons know the consequence to something, they'll be less likely to do it. I can't say exactly off the top of my head what I have in mind right now, but I do think that the laws need to be much more stricter in that regard to just deter persons from ever wanting to even do anything like this.
Okay, so you feel that the laws at present are not strict enough. They don't have enough teeth. That's what you're telling us?
The laws at present have made strides in becoming more stricter, but I still think there's room for improvement.
Yes. Because there are those who argue that the laws are okay. It's just the application of the laws in our nation, that a number of persons have not been caught and therefore they're not brought to court to answer for their charges. What's your take on that?
As in any system, I think nothing is perfect. So yes, I do agree to some extent that the applications of the laws should be followed or dealt with a bit more rigorous in that regard.
Yeah. Now, there are those who will be listening to our discussion, Percival Roberts, and saying, all right, you guys have been focusing on one side of the coin. What about the children themselves? That, I gather that you are a young adult, and you were, all of us, were children at some point. And especially in this day and age, there are persons who argue that, the way children are now, the exposure that they have had and just their general behavior, that some of the responses from the adults, you can understand, they are saying, because, the children are rude, some of them, feisty, they are disobedient, they are distracted easily. And some people are, in essence, put the blame on the children. They say the children are not guiltless in this regard. What is your response to that, Percival Roberts?
I think it can. Yes, there's truth to what is being said. However, I think it's totally wrong to blame or put majority of the blame on the children. In a lot of instances, they are necessarily responsible for what's happening to them. For example, if a gang comes and shoots up an area indiscriminately and then a child dies, you can't look at that child and say, oh, they're rude, so they deserve it, or they should get the blame for whatever is happening. So in that regard, I do have to disagree with what some persons are saying.
What do we do with those children who are really stubborn, though? They really are troublemakers. They are disobedient. They get on top of your nerves. How we deal with those children, Percival Roberts?
Well, for those children who are disobedient, I think that's where the social intervention comes in, and I think that's where the parents or the families of those children should really step in to make a difference.
And if the parents, families, guardians are unable to do that, what do you think should be put in place in those situations?
That would be where the social intervention programs then fall in.
Yeah. Any words of advice then to families generally, to peers, to colleagues in terms of school and the community, in addressing these concerns and helping to make Jamaica a better place for one and all, including our children?
Families who have been affected, my sincerest condolences are with you. The wider nation, I think we just need to be more vigilant as to what's happening. I think the perpetrators of the act need to look in themselves and see exactly what they're doing and who it's affecting. And I'm pleading with them to please stop. It's not a good look for our country. The children are our future, and we should protect them at all costs.
The children are our future. And as you mentioned, future Percival Roberts, you're a young adult, and how the future look in Jamaica for you. I mean, I know we can't see the future, only God knows that. But based on what we have been seeing so far, what do you think about Jamaica's future as a young adult?
Well, over the past 2 weeks, it definitely doesn't look good. It's looking very bleak. But I think as a nation, if we really take the time out to sit and address what issues, then we can get back on track.
And would you say that generally those are the sentiments expressed by your colleagues at many of your colleagues at UTech?
Yes, I would.
So you're being trained there. A number of those colleagues, are they planning to stay in the island and help to make Jamaica a better place for all, including our children, or migration is on their minds?
Well, I would hope that they stay, but I know some young persons definitely are thinking of migrating, but a lot of persons who I speak to, they definitely want to stay and make Jamaica a better place.
Yeah. And that's important, because sometimes we see the problem, we run away from the problem rather than being the solution that we desire. And I'm happy that among those young adults, we have persons like yourself who can analyze the situation, concerned about the situation, and willing to do whatever can be done to address the issues. We want to thank you so very much for joining us, Percival Roberts, President of UTech Students Union. All the best in your tenure and in your studies, sir. And we are listening and hoping for great things coming from you.
And thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me again today.
Yeah, man. You're welcome. You're welcome. Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:30.
Fresh and 24/7, you see. New down the Eaton, a softener with a scent for cozy eyes. New down the Eaton, fresh and 24/7 with a scent that lasts. New down the Eaton, find it in your favorite store.
This Thursday, October 9, join Dr. Colleen Beckles and Pastor Napoleon Black on the truly marvelous program To Have and to Hold as they uncover one of marriage's most silent struggles. Why couples stop having sex? Is it stress, distance, unspoken hurt? Does love fade or simply fall asleep beneath the weight of life? When connection breaks down, how can couples find their way back to closeness, tenderness, and trust? Because intimacy is more than a moment. It's the heartbeat of togetherness. Tune in this Thursday, October 9 at 5:30 p.m. for the truly marvelous program To Have and to Hold, only on the family station, Love 101.
Fresh and 24/7, you see. New down the Eaton, a softener with a scent for cozy eyes. New down the Eaton, fresh and 24/7 with a scent that lasts. New down the Eaton, find it in your favorite store.
Ready to achieve success? Registration for the January 2026 CXC CSEC exams is open from September 1 to October 15. Register now via our new portal, OEC Online. With OEC Online, you can register and pay for exams from anywhere. Secure your CXC subjects and invest in your future today. Call 876-618-3721 or visit our website at overseasexams.org.jm. The OEC, providing educational services with integrity.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Say so you can make the par, travel far, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at some news headlines. First of all, Chief Justice declares that no minister or permanent secretary can direct the head of the court administration division. We also see that teen boy is murdered in St. Mary. Residents of Text Lane in Kingston call for soldiers to be deployed in community to ensure peace and safety. We also see here that Leoda Bradshaw and the co-accused returned to court on January 26. More than 100 roads damaged by recent heavy rains. Manchester police probing farmers' suspected suicide. And then finally, Guyana ready to extradite opposition leader following fraud charges. A lot there. Those are some of the major headlines in our nation today. Coming up next, we'll share some of the feedback from our social media question. Do you think there should be stronger penalties for crimes against children? We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Mysterious, magical, mesmerizing. Wouldn't you like to experience the natural beauty of the Northern Lights? You could be the lucky one if you use your cards right. Spend with your Sagicor Bank credit card from September 29 to November 13, 2025, and you could win an all-inclusive cruise vacation for 2 along the Norwegian coast to see the Northern Lights. Chase the Northern Lights with your Sagicor Bank credit card. The more you spend it, the closer you are to your dream adventure. Enjoy the best rewards ever. Conditions apply. Authorized by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission.
Bashka goes fashion gone decor with the Jamaica Observer Take Style Out. October 31st and November 1st, get up to 50% off. New finds, lower prices, big savings across all Bashka locations. Fashion gone decor with Bashka. With the Jamaica Observer Take Style Out. Shop, save, and earn. October 31st and November 1st. Follow Bashka on all socials at Bashka Jamaica. Bashka, where style meets savings.
Start your day informed, alert, and ahead of the curve. Join us at 6:30 a.m. for the latest breaking news, weather updates, and everything you need to know. Clear, concise, connected. It's your morning news right here on Love 101 FM, the family station. On Mondays, the morning news is brought to you by the Ministry of National Security Live Good Anti-Violence Campaign.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Jokal for a look at how our Facebook and YouTube WhatsApp friends answer today's question. Do you think there should be stronger penalties for crimes against children? Jokal.
All right. So we have one here from Cherry in Spanish Town. Cherry says, yes, I totally agree for stronger penalties too. Many humongous crimes are happening because of unresolved conflicts. I have family. Do these persons have children and families? It's sad. It hurts. Edna from Montego Bay, let me hear from you.
Good morning, morning watch. Good morning, love 101 listeners and staff. Yeah, there can be stiffer penalty, yes. But what I'm concerned about, those penalties, are they truly being enforced? That is my question right now. And if not, it should. It should.
Thank you, Edna. I agree. It should. It should.
So say all of us. Thank you, ladies, for having sent in your comments and your concerns. Well, as we go into the second watch, this month of October is World Mental Health Month. And tomorrow, October 10, will be observed as World Mental Health Day. As we prepare to observe that day, in this, the second watch, we consider the link between our diet, nutrition in general, and our mental well-being. And to enlighten us in that regard, we have online Dr. Kimberly Somerville. She's a general practitioner and a clinical nutritionist. Good morning to you, Dr. Somerville.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thanks for joining us so early in the morning. Now, Dr. Somerville, why is mental health so important, especially at this time in our nation's history?
Well, mental health is one of those things that generally has a stigma. So we don't talk about it as much, but honestly, it affects all our lives. It affects our daily life, how we manage at work, how we manage at school, and how we deal with conflicts in our relationships. So we should always highlight mental health and see its importance.
Yes. And you mentioned stigma, Dr. Somerville. What is that stigma about?
Generally, anytime somebody hears that, hey, this person may have a mental health illness, they're looked at as weak, as, someone who doesn't have it together. They should really know what they're doing. But honestly, anyone can be affected by a mental health illness, especially if it is in your family. It's something that we should consider as an actual illness and not something that we think is going to be okay if we just, talk about it or brush it aside.
What are the main factors influencing mental health? And what are some of the telltale signs that we have achieved mental health or there's mental illness?
Okay, so the main factors that really affect mental health is one, our relationships. So that's our upbringing, also our socio-demographic factors. So whether we are having proper education, whether we have proper support from our loved ones, and also genetics, because things like schizophrenia, depression, anxiety disorder are also known to be linked to genetics as well as the food that we eat.
No, you mentioned a lot right there, Dr. Somerville. Yeah, demographics, male versus female, age, how those things, drill down into that for us.
Sure. Okay, so in terms of age, honestly, we usually think that a mental health disorder only occurs when we're an adult. But children can have problems with their mental health as well. They can be depressed, they can have anxiety, and it's difficult to pinpoint because they may be deemed as, a troubled child or a problem child, but they may be just dealing with a mental health illness. When it comes to male and female, it really isn't one or the other. Both are affected. When you consider depression, even though we may notice that females, to be honest, trigger warning, that there is more suicidal ideation. Yes, you will find that more males actually commit suicide over the span of time. So it really is not one or the other, but we just have to look at it as in a broader aspect.
And of course, you mentioned genetics. I mean, how will we know that those are the factors affecting X person vis-a-vis Y?
Honestly, that would have to be with a mental health professional. So that can be with a general practitioner, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist. They usually take a history, just talking about how you deal with things, what are some of your mental health factors, and they talk about your family as well. Your family members may not have been diagnosed with a mental health illness, but they may have shown signs that a professional can pick up through taking a history.
Good. And before we go to the break and then talk about the nutrition part of it even more, the signs, you want to just share with us some of the telltale signs that we need to look out for?
Okay, so in terms of depression, which is one of the common mental health illnesses, first you want to know that usually this will happen over a span of weeks. So that can be sadness, just generalized sadness, hopelessness. You might find that the person is not participating in activities that they usually like. They may be eating more or eating less, sleeping more or sleeping less. They find that they're not concentrating as well when they're at school or at home or even at work, and they may have suicidal ideation. So that's something that we would look for when discussing depression.
Oh, so depression, sadness, hopelessness, eating and major changes in eating and sleeping habits.
Yes.
Lack of concentration.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, you know, when you mention these signs and symptoms, they could point to other maladies.
Yes.
How do we know which is which?
So when we do that, especially as a general practitioner, we tend to do blood tests as well, because it could happen that someone may be having some deficiency in a vitamin.
Right.
It could be that they're having a thyroid issue. So really, as a doctor, we have to make sure that we're looking for all the different things that may be pointing to these symptoms.
Wow. So so you do some blood works.
Yes.
Yes, and you look
it would be best.
Yes, and you're looking for some deficiencies and perhaps things like thyroid issues. And what else could fall in that line of concern?
In terms of deficiency?
Yes.
Okay, so it can be a B12 deficiency. They may have a vitamin D deficiency. A lot of persons who live in the Caribbean, because we have a lot of sun, you expect that, you wouldn't be deficient in vitamin D, but it is very possible.
So B12, vitamin D, any other vitamins and minerals that we need to look into?
Not exactly, though
Those are
magnesium, sometimes if you're deficient in that,
Yeah.
you can find that you're not sleeping well, you're more irritable. So that could possibly look like depression or anxiety.
Interesting. And that now is lining us up for the second half of our discussion as we look on our diet in general. We're up on a break. Dr. Somerville will be right back to hear more.
Grace is giving shoppers discounts on over 20 of your favorite Grace products when you cash out at participating supermarkets. The time by Grace Good Move is
7:45.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and it's the second watch. We are preparing ourselves for Mental Health Day, which reportedly is tomorrow. And in so doing, we have online Dr. Kimberly Somerville, who is, going through the paces with us as she speaks about mental health, what it is, what are the signs to look for, what are some of the possible causes and factors. And then now we're looking on the nutrition aspect of it, our diet. Now, Dr. Somerville, tell us, how does our diet and how we eat and drink affect our mental health?
Okay. So in terms of how our diet affects our mental health, it really does. To be honest, there are more studies now showing that the things that we can eat to improve our mental health and the things that we eat generally that can be making it more deficient. So things that we generally like to eat are like cakes, sweets, candies, or things that would have high sugar content.
Tell me
or
about
high
it.
trans fat.
Yes.
They can really increase our risk of experiencing depression and anxiety. So what we would like to do is that you don't necessarily have to cut it out altogether, but you can find ways to limit it and increase other things like fatty fish. So sardines, mackerel, salmon, those type of things have a lot of omega-3s that improve our brain function. And I had spoken about earlier magnesium that can be found in nuts or dark chocolate can also improve our mental health.
So we need to avoid the cakes, the sweets, the sugary stuff as much as possible.
Yes.
And you mentioned trans fat. What is that?
So trans fat is a type of fat that would be found in mostly fried foods or processed foods. So things like our fast food, fries, microwave popcorn, cakes, pastries, these type of fats tend to be very present in those foods.
And some person might be wondering how you make that link though, Doc, between the things you mentioned we should eat and not eat, and mental health. I mean, somehow you tell me more physical concerns you'd have in regards to our diet. How you link that to the mind?
That is true. Honestly, when it comes to the mind, our brain is made up of like water and fat. So we have to understand that if we're taking in, call it bad fats, like trans fats, it may affect the way our brain operates. For example, I have a patient who, she has diabetes. It was very uncontrolled, but as it got more controlled, she found that she was less irritable, she wasn't as aggressive, and she felt much more calm. So that's an example where you can do studies to find if this is linked, and it has been shown in some research.
So those are there persons who perhaps could argue that her greater control over her life would not necessarily be as a result of her diet. That could be other factors that came into the picture that she has ignored. She has not really realized that things have changed in other ways.
That is true, and that is why research should be done, right? Because many things affect our mental health: stress, finances, relationships. But it was just found as soon as she did this for about 2 weeks, she found that she was thinking clearer. Could be other factors, but that was what was found with this patient.
Now, you had mentioned fatty fish as the desired part of our diet.
Yes.
Now, when you talk about fat, it's normally in a negative sense.
Yes.
How does fatty fish become a positive?
Okay, so in terms of fat, yes, we usually talk about it negatively. However, there is good fat, which would include like omega-3s, monounsaturated fats, and then there's a quote-unquote bad fat, which is saturated fat and trans fat. Now, our fatty fish, like, as I said, mackerel, sardines, salmon, they have a lot of omega-3s. And studies have found that omega-3s actually improve our brain's function, hence having us more mental clarity and less depressive symptoms.
Okay. Supplements, Dr. Somerville. What's the role of supplements, either way, good or bad?
Supplements can be good. To be honest, we tend to, I think, put a lot of positive aspect on supplements. However, it may not do a positive on everyone. It's really dependent on what you need. So there is supplementation in, say, omega-3s. We always usually talk about cod liver oil. You know, our parents usually give us that a lot, helping our immune system, but it does help our brain function as well. And magnesium, particularly magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate, tends to help in our brain function, allows us to be more relaxed, and helps us with the sleep as well.
But how do we balance that though? How do we know how much supplements we should take? I mean, I take supplements every morning, but how do we know, how much we should take? Is it possible to take too many? Is it always necessary to be supplemented?
And no, it's not always necessary to be supplemented. One thing, persons always like to take iron tablets. However, not everyone needs iron tablets, right? So it really is that you should really speak to your doctor or a nutritionist, find out if you need some blood testing, because some persons may need B12 while others may need iron. So it is possible to take too much, and that's why you should always consult with a medical professional when taking supplementation.
And what about herbal remedies and supplements? What is your take on that, Dr. Somerville?
I wouldn't say that herbal remedies are bad, to be honest. we don't really get a lot of education when it comes to herbal remedies in the medical field, but herbal remedies do have their place. It's just that we have to ensure that we, again, speak to a medical professional, because you could be taking medications or supplements and herbal remedies, and they may interact negatively. If you have some type of medical illness, say like liver disease or kidney disease, taking herbal remedies may actually worsen that illness. So it's really something that you need to consider with your doctor and not just take whenever you feel.
Yeah. But are there any herbal products that you regard as a no-no? I mean, 'cause you know, Jamaicans, we grow up with a certain culture, we grow up with certain understanding. Anything that you say, no, do not take that.
I wouldn't say no, but I would say just be cautious, especially if you're going to take, say, Cersei or Moringa. These things in high quantities can affect your liver or kidneys. Even if you're considered to be a healthy person, it should be
Moringa?
Moringa, yeah.
Oh,
just
yeah?
to be cautious, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Because, yeah.
I say moringa is health food. I hear that moringa it is, you know, is life transforming.
Yes, but you have to consider that. Yes, things are healthy, you know, but in an excess quantity.
How you determine the excess quantity? For example, moringa.
It's difficult to do that, so that's why it's a little bit on the factor of being safe about it. So you have to speak to a medical doctor, because if you're drinking, say, moringa 3 times a day, this may be a little bit too much for you, while another person, it might just be fine. So, yeah, that's the issue with that.
Is it possible to do this thing in excess, that you have a diet and you mention stuff like B12, vitamin D, magnesium, the fatty fish, the mackerel, the salmon? Can we overdo it? And how do we know that we are, if we are?
Yeah, so this is why a lot of the thing is that you'd have to speak to a nutritionist. Why? Because it's very different for everyone. So a male who may be 200 pounds, 6'2".
Oh, so size has a lot to do with it as well?
Yes, your size, your age, all of these things come into play. So it's hard to know how much is right for you if you don't speak to a professional.
Now, I'm sure there are those, Dr. Somerville, who will argue that they know of persons who seemingly don't take much care of themselves in terms of this dieting and all of that. But they're healthy, they live longer than everybody else, they're okay. And there are no persons who are serious about dieting, but why? They don't live long, them get them get cut out very quickly.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. How you respond to that?
Honestly, it really is a matter of you just have to take care of yourself. What you think is right for you, what you go to your doctor and find that is right, you do that. Some persons, hey, they never eat vegetables, they never eat fruits, and they seem perfectly healthy. But when it comes to you, you know that when you're eating vegetables and fruits, you go to the bathroom easier, you feel lighter, you feel less stressed. So it really depends on you and your body, and not necessarily comparing yourself to anyone else.
Yes. I'm not sure if we've used the terminology in our discussion so far, balanced diet. What really is a balanced diet? Is it a figment of somebody's imagination? And if not, how do we know that we have a balanced diet? What are the factors we look for to have a balanced diet going forward?
Okay, so when we're looking at balanced diet, we have to look at something called macronutrients, which really includes protein, carbohydrates, and fats. So we want to have these in a ratio that mainly has more protein. So let's look at it as in a plate, right? When we're looking on a plate, we want to see, okay, a quarter of our plate has protein that includes like chicken, fish, beans, beef. Then the other quarter has, say, carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates like our potato, rice, dumpling.
Rice is okay? Or is
Rice
particular
is-
type of rice, white versus brown rice and the other type, parboil and all them things?
So it really depends on what you can get. However, there is a type of rice called basmati rice. it doesn't have as much carbohydrates and it has more fiber.
Could you repeat that, please, Doc?
Sure. Basmati. Let me spell it.
Yeah.
B-A-S-M-A-T-I.
Okay.
It's one of the better types just because it has less carbohydrates and more fiber. But if you are able to just get your regular white rice, that is still fine. It's just dependent on the portions. So I usually recommend about half or 1 cup, but everybody is different based on your age, your weight, everything like that.
Mm-hmm. And the third quarter is fat?
Yes, fat. So they usually, when I talk about the portion, the fat is going to be the smallest amount, usually like about a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons if you're adding in your butter or your oils, and the half of the plate is more fiber. So that's going to be your vegetables, your beans. If you're going to have fruits as well, you want more fiber in it because that helps our gut health. And our gut health is linked to our mental health as well.
And as you mentioned, vegetables, I hear persons talk about the color scheme that you look for. Is that still on the plate, on the table in terms of proper nutrition?
Sure. Vegetables on a whole are usually good, but you can look for more green leafy vegetables like our callaloo, pak choy, spinach, kale, those type of things. They have a lot of nutrients like folate, and folate is really good for our mental health.
Cooked versus raw vegetables. What can you say about that? Good or bad? Positive, negative?
Honestly, both are good. It's just that usually cooked, more than likely steamed, is good for digestion. You find that you're able to absorb more nutrients when it is cooked a bit rather than just raw.
Oh, so you're not going on any side in terms of the which one is favored from a nutritional perspective?
No, once you can have your vegetables, that's going to be the best thing. But if you're able to cook them, meaning just steam them down a little bit, then that can help with your digestion.
Okay. Dr. Kimberly Somerville, general practitioner and clinical nutritionist. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
For being with us and answering these many questions that I think I asked this morning.
No problem.
Have a safe and productive day.
Thank you. You too.
Great. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This, of course, has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer and our guests. Please join Mr. Stokely Marshall next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I'm Dylan Toussaint, reminding you to be purposeful, faithful, thankful, and, of course, watchful as I return you to Love in the Morning with Jacalda.